Alright, hustlers, welcome back. A video with a little bit less satire. I want to talk about my first time really getting lost in Hong Kong. And the reason why is because a lot of people do ask me about grit and having intention and all of these things. And I think this is a really great example of that. As some of you know, when I was younger, I went and I studied abroad in Hong Kong. I purposefully chose the most remote place where I didn't know anyone, where I didn't know the language, and I figured I would either sink or swim, and that would help me choose my major. Now, I was right, and thank goodness, I swam, and I swam freaking great. However, when I went to Hong Kong, I got there before classes started. I was there for a few weeks. I didn't have a phone plan, I hadn't been there before, I didn't understand any Mandarin or Cantonese for that matter. And I went out because I had formed a Facebook group with many new connections and someone had decided to throw a get-together at a nearby hotel. Now, the hotel was about 12 minutes away from my hostel, and I looked on Google Maps and I knew I could make it. I took a screenshot of the pathway and I set sail while wearing heels. And as I walked, I realized it had been about 20 minutes and I have not yet made it to my destination. Now, I stopped and I started asking people to help me find this address. Now, people were quite helpful. However, unfortunately for me, I could not understand them and they could not understand me. So I walked around. I was in a pretty touristy area. And I came across some tourists. They must have been Dutch or French. Not French. I would have understood if they were speaking French. But they were from another country. But they were speaking English too. So I went and I approached them and I was so thankful, so hopeful of, oh, thank goodness I have found people that I can have a conversation with. And I approached them and I explained to them that I was a tourist, that I was lost, that I was trying to find my way to a place, and if they had mobile data, that I would really, really appreciate it if they could just point me in the right direction. Now, they must have thought I was a scammer, and they just totally ignored me. Like, they saw me, they made eye contact with me, they heard what I said, and then they just turned around and kept on. Now, I have felt hopeless many times in my life, but this one really has to take the cake. I was in another country, all by myself, lost, not knowing what to do. I remember I went and I sat on a fire hydrant, and everything just slowed down. I was watching the people walk by, the lights were still on, and I realized at that point I was never going to make it to the party. So, I took my heels off. Thank goodness I had the 2 cents that I did have to pack my ballet flats with me. I changed into my ballet flats and I realized, well, I'm in the city. I might as well make the most of it. With about 5% battery that I had left on my phone, I sent a message to my sister and let her know I'm lost. This is where I'm at. If you find my body, or they find my body, or you can't find me tomorrow or whatever, this is where I'll be. And I set sail. I figured at the very least, I'm in the city, everything's open, let me enjoy the pastries, let me walk around the stores, and at some point I'll figure something out. And I realized I have, card, I have some money. If all hell breaks loose, the worst case scenario, I'll find some hotel, some hostel to stay at. I mean, once you show people money, even if they can't understand me, I'm sure they'll understand I just want a room for a few hours or the night. And that's exactly what I did. I started walking around. I had some of the worst soup of my life. I don't know what was in that. It was just gross. And I started walking. And as I started walking, I eventually came across a landmark where I had been earlier that day. And I just took a deep breath and was very thankful because I knew that from that point, I would be able to make it back to my hostel. And I did. And then I did the walk of shame. I had told my hostel mates that they would not see me until the next day because I was going to be out and partying and making friends. And when I got there, they asked me how the party was, and I had to tell them that I never made it. But I'm so glad that happened to me Because recently I got lost, and I got lost. I also didn't have my phone with me. And I went back to that moment many, many years ago. And it made me realize, if I got lost in a country where I didn't know the language, where I didn't know anybody, where I didn't have data or a map or anything, and I was able to figure it out, then I can have the confidence that no matter where I am, if I am lost, I will figure it out. And I want to encourage you to do the same. Say yes to the hard things, even if you don't know how to do them, because you're going to learn. You're going to put tools in your toolbox. It's going to make you more calloused. It's going to make you stronger. And you're going to come out on the other side with some lessons learned, with a great time, with a good memory, maybe with some scars, but scars that won't easily again be repeated. And I think that it's worth it. So be unstoppable. Go get lost. Don't let the little things stop you. Don't not go out because you don't have your phone, or you don't have data, or you don't know the language, or you don't have anyone to show you the way. Just go. Believe me, you will figure it out. Until then, keep on hustling.